Hello and welcome to The Radical. I'm Christina.
And I'm Nicole. On our podcast, we delve into the roots of metaphysical wisdom.
That's right, Nicole. Our podcast is all about exploring those fundamental truths and practices that nourish your mind, body, and spirit.
Yes, Christina, we want to make metaphysical concepts easy to understand and accessible, especially for those who don't have a ton of time to do all the research.
Right? We'll do the research as well as share our experiences and perspectives, hoping to empower you, our listener, to find balance and magic in your day-to-day.
Inspired by the essence of the word radical, proceeding from the root, let's explore the roots of well-being and self-healing together.
This is The Radical with Christina and Nicole, two metaphysical girls in the material world.
Hello and welcome to The Radical. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Christina.
Today, in recognition of Tax Day, not in honor of, just in recognition of Tax
We're just saying
Day.
it's there.
It's there, and it inspired us to talk about our financial relationships.
I mean, there is a lot of talk about Pentacles and Venus and property in astrological charts. So this is a huge element in astrology, material wealth. I mean, there's houses dedicated to finances, astrological houses.
And I feel like it's a tricky subject for those of us in the metaphysical realms because it doesn't always feel like financial wealth or making a living doing spiritual work feels in alignment. It can be really tricky to feel okay with making your living in these realms.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people struggle with that. Christina has a list. I have a list. I didn't think I had much to say on this topic. Then I sat down and opened up our notes page, and all of this came pouring out.
I just started typing and it just came out. I was like, I guess I have a lot to say about this.
So we'll get right to it, and we'll end with some Goddess Guidance Oracle cards today by Doreen Virtue.
All right, listeners. What is money? It's a medium of exchange. Money allows people to easily trade goods and services without needing to find someone who wants what they have. Talking about bartering cultures. It's a way to transfer wealth. Oh my gosh, it's also a unit of account which gives things value. Money provides a common way to measure the value of different goods and services, making it easy to compare prices. That is a tricky one because oftentimes value can be assigned on how much somebody's willing to pay for it, not actually its value.
I feel like that's where a lot of metaphysical people can get tripped up. I have done some courses on money trauma resolution, and it comes up for a lot of people. We kind of devalue ourselves.
It is deep. It's deep, and it's so personal as well. And our societies and our cultures want to give us information on this all the time and tell us what we value and what things are valued at. But a lot of times, do we actually step back and think about what we actually value, what we actually want? Anyway, that's coming. More on that, listeners. And it's a way to store value. Money allows people to hold value over time, meaning you could save money and use it to purchase goods and services later. I think a big one with this is retirement, that you save money, or a home, buying big purchases, buying a home that you're going to live in and retire, that it is a way to store value if you're saving money. So listen to this. This was a big thing for me. I had said this before, but I needed to know if I had said the truth or not, that American currency isn't backed by gold anymore. I know I've said that at some point, and I found it on the interwebs, the actual information. Since the official end of the gold standard in 1971, U.S. currency has been backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. Okay. And do you know what that means? It's the United States' ability to generate revenue, and that is from taxes and debt. Examples of money throughout history have been shells, stones, beads, animal pelts, tulips. Do you remember reading about that in history class? I think it was the I just read an article on this, like 1653 or 1563. I sometimes turn numbers back and forth. That tulips were were a currency for a period of time, and precious metals eventually came into be as we started making coins. Humans started making coins. Today, money takes the form of currency, which is coins and banknotes, and digital currency. I get my paychecks as a direct deposit, and then I pay my mortgage as a wire transfer. That's still currency. It still has a value, and it is still backed by the US government. Even though we never touch it, we never see it, we never draw that money out, we are still doing these important banking things, banking transactions, all in the cloud. It's wild thinking people were trading in tulips just a couple hundred years ago.
Yeah.
The Mesopotamian civilization developed a large-scale economy based on commodity money. Commodity money is it's backed on a thing, and it's the shekel. I'm sure we've heard that as a slang to represent money. A shekel was a unit of weight first recorded in 2150 BC, which was equivalent to a specific weight of barley that was parallel across the country. So that might have been the first sort of set type of commodity or currency that set the value of it. But modern coins descended from coins that appeared to have been invented in Lydia in Asia Minor, somewhere around the 7th century BC, and then spread throughout Greece and then through the Romans and then everywhere. I read an article about Chinese printing the first paper money, or some of the first paper money that can be found. And then I read a fantastic article on Wikipedia called The History of Money. If you've got some time, read it. It's fantastic. What do you want to know? What country has the strongest currency in the world?
Tell me.
It is the Kuwaiti dinar. Yeah, they have a high gross domestic product, oil exports. They're tax-free, and most important in my eyes currently is they have responsible government management of their currency. We could all use a little more of that, I think. Now, how do we change? And here comes the crux of this podcast. I'm going to talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways, or 5 ways to change your relationship with money. You ready, Nicole? You already know these. We've talked about this before. This is going to sound a little bit like the laws of attraction and manifestation, because that's what it is. Because money is energy. First step, acknowledge childhood trauma. Acknowledge learning and patterns that were given to us at our formative years. I listened to a podcast about Disney creating this narrative in our young minds about heroes and villains, rich and poor. Having a lot of money is you're a villain, or you are undeserving, or it inherently makes you cruel. And then there's nobility and poverty, or that's the only way that you can become a hero, or there's some of this in our popular culture. It comes from cartoons, it comes from family, it comes from religion, it comes from all places getting filled into our brains as young people. That's just secondary to the actual economic situation of our family and what you had and what you didn't have. Did you talk about it? Because if you don't talk about it, you don't learn about it, and then you become a young adult who has no idea how you pay your bills, or how to manage your money, or how to open a bank account. Acknowledge it, journal about it, meditate on it. If you are resistant or struggling or afraid, I have a lot of fear with money, trace it back, look at it from a different point of view, and then do your best to heal it, or to name it, and then to let it go. Start working on letting go of that trauma from our childhood or our young adulthood, because we don't need to carry it with us right now. You don't need to forget it, but we do need to release it. And that's a lot of work. Childhood trauma, let's do a podcast on that, Nicole.
Whew, that's going to be like a whole season. I talk about this too. I have a lot of this in my notes, that we do carry certain beliefs. And what's really tricky in my experience with this is it's like I didn't even know they were beliefs because they felt so true.
Exactly.
That I didn't think there was another possible way to look at money.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody who's like, I don't have any trauma or beliefs, I would encourage you to like spend a little bit more time considering the possibility that maybe that just is telling you how ingrained the belief is, how true you've made that belief.
Yeah.
That you can't even recognize it.
Mm-hmm. And tracing it back, or just or looking at it. I mean, it could be something. Investment is not for me. I don't make enough money to invest. Well, that may or may not be true. But how do you know that? If you didn't do research, talk to a professional, read an article about it, you're making the statement based on what? What you heard or what you know, I guess and that's the whole thing, is that, and where does that come from? Because investment is for everybody. You educate yourself and then figure out if you want to do it, or bank accounts are not for me, or a new car is not for me. Well, what? Why? What? Or I will never buy a used car. Why? Where does this come from? Especially if it's not your own personal experience, I guess is what I want to say. If you've never bought a new car or owned a used car, but you have this strong feeling that you are not getting a new car, well, why? Where did that come from? All right, next step. Define what money means to you. This is huge, because what does money feel like to you? When I say money, that is a word I'm using to cover. We talked about like physical money, commodity money, like all the things. I'm not talking about the dollar amount. I'm not talking about dollar amounts. I'm talking about what the concept means to you. And break it down. Has there ever been a time when you felt at peace with having enough money or not worrying about money? That's a tricky one. For some people, that might be their childhood. For a lot of people, it's not. So does money for you, is it security? Is it things, specific things that you have attached a value to based on what you've been told to value, either by your parents, your culture, movies, whatever it might be? But do you want a bigger house? Do you want a different house? Do you want a different car? Like, is it having more travel? Is it moving to a different place? What is it? What does money mean to you? Is it just a large number in the bank? Is that money to you? And then ask yourself, what would your day be like if you had that? If you had that security, that bigger house, if you had that number in the bank, how would you drink your coffee in the morning? What would your day look like? What would you drink? What would you eat? What would you wear? How would you treat your children, your pets, your partner, yourself? Are you waiting for this number before you start going to the gym? Are you waiting for this number before you start eating better? Are you waiting for this number before you allow yourself to go on vacation? Because what would that day look like if you had that already? And guess what? We need to be doing that now. You need to go to the gym now. You need to go on vacation now. Even if that vacation is half a day. Even if that coffee is, it's just in your favorite cup. I don't know. But we need to be living like we are already there. But we have to define it first.
Yeah.
If we don't know what it is, how do we know what it feels like? So spend some time going over what it would feel like to you. For me, financial security is freedom. I just want to do what I want to do. And the choice I made in this is I've had more money, but I've had less freedom. Today, I could have more money, but I'd have to give up my freedom. So this is my choice. This is my budget. What is your choice, listeners? What are your goals? What do you value the most in this realm? And I do want to say, when I was earning the most money, I was at the most unhappy time in my life.
I am so glad you said that because it was the exact same for me. And that was something I did not put in my notes, but I'm so glad that you said that because that did come up in a podcast I listened to about prosperity. And when I was making the most money, when I had the possessions, the things, owning the house, the nice sheets, the expensive dishes, when I was making the most money and had the things, I was truly the most unhappy I have ever been.
Yes. I can reflect back. I can pinpoint it. I know where I was. I know where I was living. I knew what I was spending my money on. I knew what it felt like in my body to be that unhappy. And that was at the time when I was earning the most. And I know it can hurt to hear that money does not make you happy. Is that the actual money does not buy happiness?
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you talk to somebody who's lived it, then you could just kind of take that with a grain of salt, or take that for a moment in your thought process of, if you want happiness or do you want prosperity? Money and happiness are not connected, I guess is what I want to say with that. So that's why we have to do this radical self-inventory of defining what success is, and not the success of things, unless I mean, honestly, just because I'm over things doesn't mean everybody's over things. Like, I don't need things anymore. I don't want things anymore. I want freedom. I want to spend my day how I want to spend my day. So I give up the things. I give up the new car. I give up things because I want this. So listeners, know what you want. What does your day look like when you have that money, when you have that prosperity, when you have that financial goal? And we don't know it until we spend time thinking about it. Next, you ready for this one, Nicole? Allow yourself to believe you're worthy of having money, prosperity, freedom. And to really get into this, take care of what you have. Are you resisting looking at your accounts? Are you resisting even thinking about consolidating banks or changing your bank or moving your money somewhere because you're paying too many fees? Are you resistant to even thinking about it? We've got to take care of what we have. If we want the universe to give us more, we have to take care of what we have, because it's not going to give us more if we're not taking care of what we have. Change your mindset and look at it. This is part of it. Clear the clutter. We have to make a void for something to come into. Do you actually know what you have? Are there resources you don't even know you have because they're buried too deep, or you don't want to look at them, or you've told yourself stories about it? I was saving pennies for a project. I had cups and cups and cups of pennies, didn't want to do the project, changed my mind. So what do you do with all those pennies? I went and I got those little sleeves, counted them out, and took all those pennies to the bank. Some people might say, is that even worth it? Why would you even do that? Just keep them in your closet at the bottom of your, you know what I mean? The bottom of your closet in a big old jar or something like that. But that's energy. That's a resource. That has a history and a story, and it doesn't need to be a part of my life anymore. You've got to clear the clutter. And it could be your change. Go to Coinstar. Get stuff moving. Clean your car. Clean your wallet. Clean your purse. Look at this stuff. Manage it. Take care of it. Learn about taxes. Learn about investing. Learn about financial planning. Don't be afraid to talk about it. I'm so lucky I have Nicole as my friend. She allows me to talk her ear off and ask her a bunch of questions about money sometimes. Sometimes she and I just bounce ideas off each other. I'm so grateful to have a friend who I can do that with. Find a friend. Find a professional. Don't be afraid of the subject. Don't treat it like it's a taboo. Like, don't be afraid to open these conversations and talk about them. Because if you were like me, I sometimes get paralyzed by fear of doing the wrong thing when it comes to money. And how do I find out what the right thing is? Talking to people about it. And that is energy. Our voices, our mental flow of energy, our voices, we're bringing it into the universe, is that unlocks a channel as well, is starting the conversation. Okay. This is one that I hadn't even considered until I heard this podcast. Do you not use items because they're only for like special occasions? This is a childhood thing. This is a cultural thing. I mean, there's some cultures that have this. There are some that don't. There's some families that are very strict with this, and there's some families that aren't. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, does it need to be a part of your life today? We don't need to maintain multiple sets of things. I used to do this with clothing back in the day when I used to buy things that were so precious or so valued that I actually didn't wear it. And then nothing came up that was important enough for me to actually wear it. Why did I spend money on it in the first place? That sort of thinking, I had to figure out where that thinking came from, and then I had to mindfully stop myself from doing it. We don't need I don't need two sets of plates. I don't need two separate handbags, one for special occasions, one for day to day. Look at those types of things. I think for me personally, it was tied to worth There's no space in my life for that separation.
I think a lot of this gets inherited and passed down.
Yeah.
And I have been saying this a lot lately. We don't live in those times anymore.
Yeah.
I've been saying that to my mom a lot. And I think we don't live in the time anymore where we have the nice china and then the day-to-day china.
Yeah.
I think we can all pretty much get by with just our standard set of dishes, no matter the occasion. But that thought of having two sets got handed down to us, but it's up to us to come to the realization I don't need this. I don't need to live like that anymore
Mm-hmm.
because we don't live in those times anymore. We don't live that way anymore. That's capitalism too.
Yeah. 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 Like there's the thought process that maintaining two sets of plates or two purses, two sets of clothing, two cars. This is my day-to-day car and this is my fun car. That it's tied to worth, and then it's tied back to the value that we're attaching to things. If you're doing it, do it mindfully. Okay? Just don't do it without thinking about it, is what I'll say. Because I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying be aware of it and then be mindful about it. And know that that could be tied back into, am I worthy of receiving more currency, more energetic flow of money? Because you already have half your house wrapped in plastic that you can't even use. You have half your wardrobe tucked away in cedar boxes that you don't even touch. Why? Just think about it. Do it with mindfulness. Don't do it without thinking about it. Express gratitude is the next step. Be so thankful. Look at your bank accounts and bless them. Thank them. Bless your wallet. Bless your purse. Thank the people who give you things and provide services to you. Come from a place of gratitude with every cash transaction, with every banking transaction, whether they're cashiers, waiters, baristas. Have that flow of energy always be with positive intent and with gratitude. Thank that electricity bill for providing you and your family with light and heat. Does it hurt to write that check? I mean, who even writes checks anymore? Does it hurt to hit that send button to pay those online bills? You know what? It might. But here's the thing. Don't hold a grudge when you're paying for those things. Don't attach your negative energy to the things that we have to pay. Pay your taxes. Pay your bills. Be generous. Donate. Let that stuff go with a blessing and with gratitude that you even had it in the first place. Express gratitude all the time. And finally, forgive yourself. Forgive ourselves. We made mistakes. We wasted money. We lost money. We hoarded money. We lent people money. All the things. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for all of it. All of it. Forgive yourself. Take full responsibility for where you are right now. No one's coming to save you. You have to forgive yourself. You have to decide what you want in the future. There's pain and regret, and there's pain and discipline. You can choose. Put your energy into that discipline. Do that budget. Say your affirmations. Say it out loud. Say it to yourself. Put that energy into that currency. Let it flow from you because you're doing your work. You've healed your childhood trauma. You believe that you're worthy. You're expressing gratitude. Don't come from a place of lack of mentality. Don't hold a grudge against what you have to pay and why you have to pay it. Let it go. Come from a place of gratitude and forgiveness, and it'll come to you. It'll come to you. It will. I believe it.
My first bullet point: prosperity and energetic flows. So, as I have studied money in the metaphysical realm and taken courses like the business of yoga or money trauma resolution, one thing comes up over and over, and that is money or currency represents an energetic exchange. And Christina looked up the history of the word money. I looked up the history of the word currency. And it comes from Latin, meaning to run or to flow. So I love that because the root word is basically saying money should be circulating or flowing within an economy. It should be moving.
Mm-hmm.
And recently I heard someone describe wealth as money accumulation. And Christina used the word hoarding earlier. That's in my notes too.
Mm.
When we have wealth, when we accumulate money, it's not flowing, it's not moving. It's sitting like the jar of pennies in the closet. It's sitting there. It's creating an energetic block because we're not allowing that money to move, to flow, to circulate. We can think about water. Water is meant to move. Stagnant water becomes toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea applies to money, but not just money, these concepts of abundance and prosperity. So, just like energy itself, abundance and prosperity thrive on movement and exchange. When we're clinging to and hoarding money, usually there's a fear-based reason for that. So, when Christina was talking about taking that personal inventory, how would having a certain amount of money make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Usually, the feeling associated with having money involves words like comfort or security. And then when we think about not having money, that's very much like the lack and fear-based energy. Now, of course, we are definitely allowed to save money. Responsible saving is encouraged. We are allowed to have the energy of security and stability, and also balanced, purposeful spending. So we want both in balance. And Christina also talked about this, the generosity in our spending. And it's like the energy tied to the money that we are spending. And it's easy, I think, to gripe about a car repair bill or
Mm-hmm.
a
Electricity bill.
medical bill. Yeah, but we also have the choice and the ability to reframe those things. I can complain about my ultrasound bill, or I can find a way to be grateful that I am having an opportunity to deep dive and take care of my health
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully locate an issue, because what's the alternative?
Yeah.
So it's all in how we look at it, the energy we attach to the money that we are spending. And then I have a whole bullet point here on healing money trauma. Money trauma also creates blockages in the flow and in prosperity. So a lot of words that come up with money trauma involve guilt, shame, deserving, self-worth, like Christina said, injustice. The thoughts might sound like, is it fair for me to make this amount of money when this person makes less, but they need the money more than I do? It might sound like, is it fair for me to charge this amount of money for my work? It might sound like, who would pay this for my art, for my service? Should I just offer it for free? Money trauma also comes up in us being concerned about what other people think of our money and how we spend it.
Yep.
She didn't have to work hard for that. She's wasting money on that. Other people's opinions are so tricky.
It's part of those cultural fire hose of information that we're constantly being fed from when we're just teeny tiny little kids, all, and even to like our whole lives, this information is coming in.
I think getting really clear, like Christina suggested, on how we view money, makes it easier for those things to bounce off of us. And when we're not clear on where we stand and our money values, those kind of comments can really sting.
Or we are thinking that if we don't know what we value, we're going to latch on to something. So if you think that a type of car is the pinnacle or that's the goal because somebody else has that car. Oh, what do they call that? Keeping up with the Joneses. You see your neighbor getting, this new lawn, and then you get the new lawn, and then you see your neighbor get the car, and then you get the new car. If that's what you value, but is that what you value? Do you even know what you value or what you want or what that prosperity looks and feels like to you?
Right.
We latch on to what culture tells us is successful and prosperity and making it, or and arriving.
Yes. I have a couple notes here. Lessons from the tarot, Pentacles and resources. So
Tarot.
Yeah, I was thinking about tarot, and I heard a tarot reader, describe the suit of Pentacles as being a coalescence or the merging of the other three suits in tarot. The wands are passion, swords are thoughts, and cups are emotions. So the way she described it, she said, the pentacle is the evidence in the external world of this coalescence of passion, thought, and emotion into our resources. So money has value, but so does our health, so does our time, so do our possessions. So do our learning experiences, right? Our wisdom. And Christina touched on this earlier, talking about the trade-off of she could have more money right now, but she would give up her time freedom. So there are other things besides money in our life that has value. And I thought it was a really cool tie-in that tarot can kind of represent that, and how the pentacle sort of symbolizes all these resources kind of coming together. And I love that the pentacle is called resources.
Yeah. How about that? I've never looked at it that way.
And so when I was thinking about this, we do have to have our emotions and our thoughts and our passions kind of all on board when we're pursuing financial security or abundance or prosperity. People, I think it happens in our culture. They just work really, really, really hard and they do get that $1 million. But if we are not sort of doing our personal inventory and figuring out our money trauma, can we really sort of sustain that type of abundant lifestyle? Probably not. And I've said it on our podcast before about the law of attraction and the law of assumption. That's why I think the inner work has to accompany manifestation.
Yes.
And I think that's sort of what the suit of Pentacles teaches us in tarot. And when we have good health, healthy relationships, we're taking care of our emotions and our spirituality, when we feel like we're working in a way where we're maybe being of service or we're really aligned with our purpose, we start to experience things like contentment and fulfillment and things like gratitude. And that's sort of what prosperity really is. It kind of goes beyond just money. It becomes this bigger picture, right? And I did want to talk real quick about money and our values and our voice. We've talked about boycotts on here before and how we spend money, not just how we spend money and the energy that we tied to the money as we're releasing it, but it's what we spend money on, but also what we don't spend money on. I prefer to demonstrate my freedom and my sovereignty as a person through how I spend money. And that's become so much more important the last several months. So I'm more mindful about not getting roped into reoccurring purchases or buying things that are going to complicate my life. If it comes with like chargers, batteries, filters, and I have to do this and that, I'm not doing it. I'm not complicating my life. I'm not doing it. Um, I've given up Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, wow, that's really hard. What do you do? And it's hard. You don't get that instant wish fulfillment, but it's made me realize that most of the stuff that I would have just on impulse pulled out my phone and ordered on Amazon, I don't actually need it.
Yeah.
It's helping me become more minimal and actually realize I don't need a lot of the stuff I think that I do. Or it makes me go into my closet or a storage bin and see, do I have something else that could do the job, that could do the trick? Do I actually need to be spending money, or do I have something that'll work? Do I already have a resource?
I just wrote down we need to do a podcast on minimalism
Yeah.
because that's huge. That's huge, especially in today's environment,
And if you think about your possessions as a resource, right?
which they are. All of them
And they
have
are,
value.
and all of them have energy. So whether it's
Mm-hmm.
that jar of pennies sitting in the back corner of your closet or a box of clothes that you don't wear, these things need to move. And
Mm-hmm.
I think about that when I donate things, that I want them to go where they will be used. I want these things that I'm not using. Sure, I could hoard them, cling to them, keep them in case one day I need it. But if I haven't been using it, it's time for me to release it so it can go where it'll be used.
Yeah. It's got a flow. It's a currency and it has value. Your shirts have a value. Your shoes have a value.
It's a pentacle.
And if they're sitting there doing nothing for year after year after year, that is a lack of flow,
Yes.
just like those pennies. But I want to say, going back to you talking about Amazon and about your sovereignty and your choice and how you spend your money, that I have been moving in this direction starting last year about being really conscientious. But the beginning of this year, 2025, and then the last few months has really kicked me into just really, truly every dollar I spend is important and paying attention to it. Every dollar is important.
Yes.
And I feel so much more in control, more empowered, and better about how I'm spending my money because I've made the point to research and to pay attention.
I've been using the Goods Unite Us app to see if I shop at this store or buy from this restaurant, where does the money then flow to?
Yeah.
So there's a lot more awareness on my part. And I think I've always been a minimalist, but by shining a light in this new way, I am definitely purchasing fewer things and much more aware of where my money is flowing and the overall bigger picture. And I want to end my section with a quote from a man named Richard Rudd. He's the founder and teacher of the Gene Keys, just for reference. He talks about a lot of interesting things, but he said the foundation of prosperity is actually simplicity. And I think
Mm.
that for me is a perfect summation about how I feel about money and prosperity and abundance. I think when you start living your life with simplicity and cutting certain things out and forming your own relationship with money and figuring out how you want to feel and living that way now, you start to find
Mm-hmm.
prosperity. And it really can be that simple.
I mean, and a 20-year-old me would have had a different answer. than this 49-year-old me. My time is what I value the most. I can do without a lot of things right now because I want my time. And I make that choice every day. So know what it is you want. Do that self-inventory. Okay, Nicole, what would you do with $1 million? I'm going to go first. You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
I have, and I thought about this and I made notes about this, and I did it very mindfully. I have a list of organizations that I would donate to. I would gift some to my close family. And then I would pay off my mortgage and fence in my whole yard and let my little puppy run around out there, helter skelter, however he wants. I would trade in my current minivan for an electric minivan. I would get an electric one. One of my neighbors has an electric car, and it has a solar panel on the hood as a charger.
Cool.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do that road trip to Alaska. I'm like, this is the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to have that electric car with the solar panel charger. I'll be able to go wherever I want, however I want, whenever I want. Freedom, listeners. That's what I want. Freedom. And then I would go on one of those ridiculous around the world cruises. And this is funny, listeners, because I've never been on a cruise. But I read an article about this, and I think I'm just like, if I had extra money, this is what I would do. Like, this is something that I would experiment with and see, but I would love to do that. I think I would love to do that. I think I would love that. But it would have to be, you want to know why it'd be so expensive? Because I have to take Michael with me, my dog. So it'd probably have to be like a private one because most of them don't allow pets. That in itself might cost $1 million, just doing a cruise around the world with my little dog.
That would be fun.
But that's what I would do. I would be responsible. I would be generous because I want to be. I want to be generous. And then I would have a little like stupid thing that I would do.
I can definitely tell you what I would not do. I would not buy a big house. I would not buy an expensive car.
They just cost more money.
Right, right. One of the happiest times in my life was living in Colorado, and I lived in a like 290 square foot apartment, but at the base of Pikes Peak.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much I do not need. So I would have a little teeny tiny house, and I would want to travel and, give money to my family, make sure like everyone's good there. But, it's definitely not stuff. For me, it's a simple and easeful existence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on all the retreats that our nonprofit yoga school hosts.
Yeah. I mean, just keep traveling.
Yeah. Well, I have 3 cards from the Goddess Guidance Oracle deck by Doreen Virtue.
Doreen Virtue. What do you got for us?
So I think I said 3 cards. So A, B, or C. And I'm going to start with card A. And this is Anne or Aine. We'll post pictures. It's spelled Aine. And this goddess is Leap of Faith.
Is it the Irish goddess?
Probably.
Yay.
Anye. Okay.
I know her.
You know her?
Yeah, Anye.
You're going to know the other ones too. So Anye, Leap of Faith. Take a risk and put your heart's true desire into action. Message from Anye. Procrastinating about your dreams won't make them go away. Neither will it make them happen. Indecision is the death of the soul's burning passion to improve, grow, and learn. Don't worry about making a wrong decision. Instead, worry about making no decision at all. Then take time to pray, meditate, investigate, research, go on nature walks, and make your decision. I like how nature walks is included in that. Once made, the universal energies will immediately support your decision, and doors will successively open as if by magic. The magic you see is that you set your mind to accomplish something. And this intention is what sets you on your magical journey. Trust that the universe will always support you in all ways. Trust that your intention is clear and right for you. And then take a leap of faith and jump fully and squarely into the midst of putting your dreams into action. Don't hesitate or delay a moment longer. Various meanings of this card. Your dream will come true. Your chosen path is the right one for you. Heaven supports you fully on your mission. Your material needs will be taken care of. Take action steps towards the realization of your dream. Break down your dream into achievable baby steps so that it's easier to start and to keep going. Card B is Athena. Inner wisdom. You know what to do. Trust your inner wisdom and take appropriate action without delay. Message from Athena. I'm happy to assist you. However, you'll be most thrilled when you first consult your own inner bank of knowledge. For I assure you that this situation is already resolved and that you have access to all the wisdom that the universe supplies. That makes me think of Pentacles. To access this wisdom, you must quiet your mind. Surrender all worries and other concerns to the loving and almighty power of the universe. Close your eyes and note the thoughts and feelings that come streaming into your consciousness. If you like, you can ask me to give you a signal that you've heard your inner wisdom correctly. But have faith. I assure you that you have heard and that the guidance brings you and your loved ones very good news indeed. Various meanings of this card. Stop procrastinating. Stop giving away your power to others. Trust your gut. Don't second guess yourself. You are correct. Notice recurring ideas and take action on them. That is a message coming through loud and clear.
Mm-hmm.
And
both of those have so much about what we just talked about. About
yes.
You doing it. You can do it. You can do it.
And then card C is our friend Sedna. I didn't even know she was in this deck, and it jumped out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know you.
I was like, I know her. I know her.
I know her. Sedna, infinite supply. You are supplied for today and all of your tomorrows. Message from Sedna. This is an abundant universe filled with more than enough for everyone. Yet the energy format of this planet is about polarities. In this instance, it's about giving and receiving. The key is to balance the two. If you only give, you'll feel drained, resentful, and experience lack. If you only receive, you won't enjoy what you have. Balance comes from fearlessly giving as you're guided and then receiving with joy and gratitude. It's exactly like breathing. Both the inhale and the exhale are identically important. Practice giving and receiving daily, and you'll never want for anything. Various meanings of this card. Don't worry about the future. Know that you'll always have enough to eat. Your needs will always be provided for. Spend time at the ocean. Swim with the dolphins. Move to a beach or island community. Go swimming, sailing, or surfing. Give time or money to a cause that protects the ocean.
The goddesses were there for us this whole podcast talking about value, currency, prosperity. This is how we do it.
Those were perfect.
I love the Sedna one. Just like the inhale and the exhale, they're both equally important. You have to give and receive.
Yes. We have to keep the flow moving. We cannot let the energetics of money become stagnant. So with that, listeners, thank you so much. We love you. The goddesses love you.
I know. I'm just like, I'm a little floored over here. I got very emotional with that Sedna card, and I am just hoping that you guys enjoyed this as much as we did. Thank you, listeners. Take care. Y'all be safe.
We'll talk to you next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Radical. The Radical is written and produced by Nicole and Christina.
Listener questions can be emailed to us at theradicalpodnc@gmail.com.
Our Instagram is The Radical Pod.
Music by Van Horton. His Instagram is Van Horton Music.